Warning, the following content may contain spoilers for film and television programs. It is also intended for mature audiences. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
The Nardvark's claws are as strong as a pickaxe.
What?
Did not.
Yeah, I swear to God, it's true.
It's interesting.
Oh, we're recording. Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the See It Podcast.
Yeah.
Hello.
Speaking of pickaxes, they've decided to replace all the concrete stairs at my apartment complex. And instead of using machinery, they just have men with pickaxes just chopping at that motherfucker every morning. They're getting like 3 steps done a week. They're really moving along.
Let me guess, they start at like 6 or 7 in the morning.
I know they're polite and wait till about 9, but they take a break about every hour, so it takes them a long time to get things done.
Oh, shit. That would be brutal.
I would be so pissed.
So, yeah.
Welcome to the See It Podcast, where we talk about everything film and movie related. Go around and do some introductions real quick.
Austin Fairbairn.
Zach Chadwick.
And Andrew Ormsby, what are you guys drinking today?
I am still a little messed up from St. Patrick's Day, which was a full week ago almost now. But you know what? When you have a beard this red, you gotta go harder on St. Patty's Day. So I'm just drinking water.
I'm drinking some Take the Black Stout, Game of Thrones inspired beer.
How was that?
It's very stouty.
Very stouty.
It reminds me of Guinness in a way.
I, of course, got my Johnny Walker Black Label. But I'm right there with you, Austin. I think you and I were out together getting wasted on St.
Part
Patty's.
of the time, yes, we were.
Yeah. I was just coming to pick up some stuff. Drank way too much. One thing led to another. I was waiting. I was like, you know what? I'll have a scotch. And then the bartender came over and was like, hey, we're giving out these free drinks. I'm like, I'll take one. And then we were sitting there talking, you and I, and then we were looking at this one tap, and what is that? And he told us it was mead.
Yeah.
And I had way too much mead.
That sounds awesome.
It was good. It was really, really good.
But yeah, so I will start things off, I guess, today with my See It or Don't See It review. And I went over, this past week, I went and saw Monuments Men with George Clooney, Matt Damon, the whole gang. Whole gang was there.
Yeah.
Should I start with my See It or Don't See It, or should I?
Absolutely.
All right.
Jump right in.
Well, I will start by saying this is a See It, I would say. It's not perfect by any means. There's a lot of places that kind of fall short, but I mean, it's definitely worth your time to go see. I wouldn't go see it again in theaters, but it's something, once it kind of like is out on stores for a while, I'd probably go buy it. If you watch this, and George Clooney is actually the one that directed it as well, just the way it looks, and especially the score, which it's funny, like you don't really notice music a whole lot usually, unless there's something that really, if it's either really bad or really good. And in this case, you could have, like, just the way it looked and the way it sounded, you could have replaced it with any Harrison Ford 1980s movie, like Indiana Jones. It looked and sounded exactly like an Indiana Jones movie from the 80s. It was crazy. It was just so old school in the way it was done. I mean, it was that really upbeat, orchestra music for like every scene, and they're like, riding down the road in a Jeep, and it's like dun da da, the entire time. It's like, wow, okay. The biggest thing I can tell you about this is every scene with John Goodman and or Bill Murray is freaking awesome.
That's
Brilliant.
because John Goodman is awesome.
Yeah, John Goodman and Bill Murray, they don't make bad films.
They don't.
Try, but it just comes out good anyway.
Well, what happens is, for 90% of the movie, this is basically kind of like a farcical comedy of these guys and their trip through Europe trying to save art during World War II. It's really funny, very situational humor. But every time George Clooney talks, it becomes overly sentimental and just like goopy, and it ruins the movie every time he talks. And he does voiceover for it too, throughout parts of the movie. So his character's voicing over like different parts that go on the movie, and it doesn't work at all.
Didn't he direct it as well?
Yeah, he directed. So
wow.
and he helped write the script.
Damn.
So he had to write these parts for himself, and I don't know what he was thinking, because
Maybe he's trying to win.
Well, I
an
knew what he
Oscar.
was thinking. He was patting his own back on that one.
Yeah, but I mean, minus those parts, minus the over sentimental parts that George Clooney does, the rest of the movie is really good, and it's done really well. Again, it's not fantastic, but it's definitely a see it movie. So there's that review.
Excellent.
We haven't had any Don't See It yet.
Yeah, I'll look for something that you can I'll just look for something totally brutal, and then I'll come on next week.
I'm trying to think what's in theaters right now that I can go force myself to see, so don't see it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going right off that into something you guys, I just found this out, and it really pertains to us and this podcast. Comcast has launched a new program that connects you directly with movies and TV shows that everybody is talking about. Do you know what their new product is called?
I haven't heard anything about it.
It's called See It.
Oh, copyright infringement. Copyright. All right, guys, let's go down, let's go down to the lawyer's office right now and get this figured out.
See It. Trademarked.
Oh, fucking titty sprinkles.
And that's now your new catchphrase, by the way.
Titty sprinkles. I love it. So, yeah, I doubt we're going to have to, but we may be changing the name of our podcast.
Comcast could give a shit less about three guys in a room in
Yeah.
the middle of Missouri, probably.
But,
So I
you
think
know-
we're
Did they
probably
just
okay.
announce this?
If they didn't just announce it, it's fairly new because I haven't heard anything about it. And I was, checking online, make sure we weren't copyright infringing anybody. Whenever I chose the name for this, I was able, to get our YouTube page, our Twitter page, Facebook, all that stuff. But, with Twitter and Facebook, you can name it anything you want, no matter how many duplicates you come up with. But on YouTube, whenever I chose See It, it didn't come up as I was copying anything, so
Yeah.
I figured I was in
I
the
wouldn't
clear.
worry
Yeah,
about
I think we're probably in the clear on that one.
I just figured you guys thought that would be pretty funny and you like that.
I mean,
Comcast
you know
can
what?
Suck a dick.
We're just ahead of the curve. We have great ideas. They like to take them. It's no big deal.
Yeah. A lot of trailers for movies come out recently. The Giver came out. You guys said you'd never read The Giver before?
I did not read The Giver. I feel like everyone in my high school, 6 years ago, probably read The Giver, but I never read it.
It was required reading back in my high school, so that's how I got. It was a good book, but then when I saw the trailer, it doesn't match anything of what I read in the book. So that may be a skip it, don't see it.
It's
Who knows?
not a movie that I want. Like, the trailer didn't make me want to see it.
Has some good people in it. Has Jeff Bridges, Meryl Streep, Alexander Skarsgård, and then a bunch of new faces I'm not familiar with.
Oh, yeah, I should mention Daddy Skarsgård's in Monuments Men as well.
Oh, yeah, Stellan.
Yep.
Nice.
So, there's
I like him a lot.
and he's good in it, too. So,
Stellan Skarsgård's a really good actor. I like him a lot. What were some other movies? The Signal. That movie looks really good.
That movie looks badass.
Lawrence Fishburne, Morpheus.
Morpheus.
And a bunch of other people, I have no idea, but it looks like a completely different type of movie. It
does look really cool. It's the beginning of the trailer. It's, Sundance Film Festival. So it's an independent movie, which is something else we could probably talk about, like how much that phrase has changed its meaning in the past 10 years.
Well, since
from what a true independent film is to what it means nowadays.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, there's independent films now that have some of the biggest name stars that everyone recognizes, and it's because they don't get paid a whole lot. I mean, they're still within the definition of independent movie, but it's the type of movie has changed so much.
Well, Tarantino really redefined it when he put out Pulp Fiction. That is when it started.
Yeah.
And Robert Rodriguez whenever he came out with Mariachi.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Those
That's
were
a good
both
movie.
independent films, and they launched those careers. So
I mean, because independent, all that means is independent of a studio.
yeah,
But I mean, like that Signal movie looks awesome, but I can guarantee you the budget for that is not the average budget for an independent movie.
do you guys have a favorite independent movie?
Oh man, you're asking a big question.
I think mine would be Winter's Bone. I love that movie.
It's pretty good. And it's local too. So.
It was local.
I
That
don't-
may be why I'm biased. I got to go on set and meet people.
Daniel Woodrell is an amazing author too, and
Oh, yeah.
a local
I think
Ozarkian.
I got that book in here somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I would have to make a list of independent movies and go from there because I can't think of my favorite off the top of my head.
Question. It's kind of the quintessential indie movie, and a lot of people don't like it. So what's your guys' opinion on Garden State?
I love Garden State.
you like Garden
I
State?
love Garden
Is that the
State.
Zach Braff movie?
Zach Braff, Natalie Portman.
One of my favorite
Never
movies.
seen it.
Never seen it? You should watch it.
I'll let you borrow it. One of my favorite movies.
No, I do. I actually like it as well, but
One
a
of
lot
the
of
best-
people hate
I like
on
her
that
a
movie.
lot.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody.
Because
that
nothing really happens in that movie, which doesn't make it bad, but nothing really happens in that movie.
has an amazing soundtrack.
Oh, it
I
does
think
have
it's
an amazing
it's
soundtrack,
funny.
No, yeah, no, I'm not. I have no problem with it. I like it.
Hold up. Who here just saw some titties? Raise your hand. You just saw some titties. Oh, back trailers.
Trailers, yeah, okay, yeah, wow.
Yeah, we were talking about The Signal, and we got off on titties somehow.
Not hard to do.
No, it happens. What was another? The Maze Runner?
Yeah, that one does look really cool.
Yeah, that was a best-selling book.
I'm assuming it's like a YA, like a young adult book. I mean, the entire cast looks like it's about 18-year-old guys. So I would assume it's
Jojen's in it from Game of Thrones. So
yeah, he is.
So Zach's in.
no, I mean honestly, aside from that, the movie. This is what's different between it and The Giver in that movie looks like something that I want to see. That I want to pay $8, $9, $10 to go to the theater and watch. Whereas The Giver just looks like a pile of shit.
Well, you never know. With a good cast like that, The Giver may turn out to be a fairly decent movie.
Well, I mean, Andrew, you had to explain the plot of The Giver to me because from that trailer, what you told me is two separate, completely different things.
Yeah.
But The Maze Runner, I can see that, and I mean, obviously, there's still a element of suspense to it. But I get what the main issue is that these characters are trying to face. They're stuck in this place, and they have to get out through a giant freaking maze, and everyone that goes in dies. Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So I know, so I'm intrigued by that, by what's going on. The Giver, if you hadn't told me what it was about, I would never have guessed.
Yeah, The Maze Runner is not going to be one of those groundbreaking, revolutionary films.
No.
It just looks really entertaining. But what are some other trailers that came out? Maleficent, the Disney movie.
Which I can't say that name to save my life, so I'm not even going to try.
Oh, really?
Every time I do, I mess it up.
Maleficent or something.
Maleficent.
Yeah.
Maleficent.
Close.
Yeah, close, yeah.
Something with Angelina Jolie in it.
Yeah. She looks a lot like Maleficent from back in the day. They did a really good job makeup, and everything in that movie looks really good. CGI, it looks like Disney CGI,
It kind of reminded me of the Jack and the Beanstalk movie, the CGI in that.
Exactly.
It looked a lot like the same.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's my favorite trailer of the week, the International Godzilla trailer. Gareth Edwards, the director of this movie, if you're listening to this podcast, please stop putting out trailers for the new Godzilla movie because my mental erection can only get so hard.
That's probably the best description I could have ever heard for something like that. My mental erection can only get so hard. I like it.
But I think I'm setting myself up for failure with this movie.
I think you are. I think it's going to be great, but I think
It's
you're
gonna be
maybe
great.
setting the bar a little too high.
I was thinking about this the other day. Think back to your favorite movies of all time. Were they movies that you hyped yourself up for, or were they movies that you accidentally stumbled upon early in your life and they stuck with you and that's why you love them so much?
Say that again?
Like if you look back at all the movies, like your top
My
movies,
favorite movies.
your
Okay.
favorite movies, were they movies that you would hype yourself up after seeing trailers and reading about it and stuff?
Half of them.
Really?
Half of them were trailers I psyched up for, and then half of them were movies I just sort of stumbled on. Like, Lord of the Rings. Well, okay, I guess it's just one, really. Lord of the Rings is the only one where I saw trailers, and I wanted to see every trailer, and my mental erection, so to speak, was just... it was
Trademark Comcast. Don't
Yeah.
touch that one.
Yeah.
that's the only one. All the other ones were movies I just sort of stumbled on, like I had heard people talk about, and I'm like, oh, I'll try that. Or I saw, actually, no, Trade. Trade was one where I saw a preview for, and I'm like, I need to see that movie.
With
Kevin Kline.
Kevin Kline.
It's a
It was a
great
very good movie. Depressing as shit.
Oh, yeah, it's depressing as balls, but it's so good. Now, I think there's only been one time where I psyched myself up to the point where I was disappointed, and that movie turned out to be the worst movie I've ever seen.
What's that?
Oh,
The Spirit.
you psyched
Oh,
yourself
yeah.
up. I saw from the
Well, that's
trailers
because you're
that
a
movie.
huge Sin City fan.
Right, and that's what they marketed it as, a Sin City sort of spinoff. And it was the only movie I've both fallen asleep in and walked out of.
Like sleepwalking?
No, yeah, sleepwalking.
At the same
I
time.
sleptwalked out of that movie.
I don't know. I've never. There's not been a whole lot of movies, especially my top movies, that I really hyped myself up for. Most of them I just stumbled upon. Even the ones I knew were coming out, came out when I was young enough that I wasn't like looking up movie trailers and such. Like Lord of the Rings. Like when the first Lord of the Rings movie came out, I wasn't like necessarily old enough that I was like going on the internet and like looking
How
up
old were you?
trailers. When did it come out? I'll tell you.
2001.
I was 10.
Fuck, I am so old.
So I wasn't, I had to ask my mom if I want to get on the internet. I wasn't just, hopping on
So the
Google,
first
so.
Lord of the Rings movie, you were 10 years old.
Yes.
Dear God.
I mean, I saw it when it came out, but I wasn't like,
I was
super hyped up for it.
I
hadn't read them or anything like that at that point.
I was
so.
either a junior or a senior. I think I was...
2001, I was a senior. Oh my God, I'm fucking old, man.
Man, that does make me feel really old. 10 years old.
But I don't think you're psyching yourself up for failure with this, because it's the same argument. I've never been more psyched for a movie outside of Lord of the Rings than X-Men, and I don't think there's any way that movie can be bad. Just like I don't think Godzilla's going to be bad.
You see, I read into Godzilla, I think, way too much for my own good. Like, I go on the fan site. I know we have a lot of listeners that listen to our podcast that are actually on the Godzilla fan site, because I'm on there all the time talking about our podcast. But a lot of people want questions answered, and I got to look up stuff. Like, people want to know, are there going to be other monsters in the Godzilla movie? Yes, there will be other monsters in the Godzilla movie.
Really?
There will be, except Godzilla is the only Toho monster. There are no other monsters that have previously been in Godzilla films. There are one or two, Gareth Edwards hasn't confirmed it, there are going to be one or two new monsters. They're described as Mutos, and they're totally original. One is a flying monster, and the other one's eight-legged spider sort of monster.
Mothman?
Yes, Mothman. Damn it.
And then Paul Rudd as Ant-Man comes out and destroys them all.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What do you guys think of that,
Ant-Man? No.
All it is Marvel's giant plan to link all of their movies and make as much money as they can. I'm not interested in it. I like Paul Rudd. I'll probably go see it because it's going to link to Avengers 3.
I can only take Paul Rudd as serious as a superhero as I can Ryan Reynolds as a superhero.
I don't think he's meant to be a serious superhero, though. I'm almost positive that Hank Pym in the comic books is not a serious guy. Like, I don't think that's...
I was listening to the RT podcast, and where they were talking about when the Ant-Man trailer came out.
Oh, yeah.
And they were trying to convince one of the guys that this was like a legit superhero. And he's like, no, this is like the stupidest superpower you could ever possibly have.
Dude, they tore that movie a new one. And
he's
there's
like,
nothing
so
else.
get this right. You shrink to the size of an ant, but you have the strength of a man. He's like, that's fucking stupid. So if you like enlarge to the size of a man and had the respective strength of an ant to your body mass, then you'd be really strong. But if you could just shrink to an ant and have that and have human strength, like, so you're just really tiny, but you can like punch somebody, but not any harder than a normal man could punch you.
Exactly.
So it's like pointless.
I don't know. Whatever. I don't have any feelings on it. I want to see a trailer first.
Yeah, well, Edgar Wright, the director of all the Hot Fuzzes, Shaun of the Deads, he's directing Ant-Man.
See, that's what makes me
so
think
so it's going to be that.
That is the main reason why I'm going to go and watch it, because of Edgar Wright, because that guy puts out some funny-ass movies.
Well, that's why I think my thoughts on the superhero himself is that he's not meant to be serious is correct, because he's directing that movie.
Did you see The World's End? Did you go with us to go and see that?
No, I did not see that. That's the one where they're at the bar.
Yeah,
bars.
The
I liked
Golden Mile.
it, but I thought Hot Fuzz was better.
Hot Fuzz is still, personally, the funniest out of that Cornetto trilogy.
I think Shaun of the Dead is better than Hot Fuzz.
I don't.
And then he made Scott Pilgrim. That movie was just hilarious.
That movie. No, I don't think... Okay, we're going completely off.
Yeah, we need to get back to Godzilla.
Yeah, but first up, Hot Fuzz is... I love that movie, and I'll always remember it because of that part where Simon Pegg drop kicks that old lady. I've never laughed so hard in my life.
That is in the top 5 funniest movie scenes of all time.
Anyway.
But back to Godzilla. A couple things people may not know about the new Godzilla movie. There's an actor in it. His name's, I believe it's Akira something. I would butcher his last name if I tried to pronounce it. He was in the original 1954 Godzilla, and they cast him to be in the new one. So I think that's a nice homage to the old Toho Godzilla films. Also, a lot of people don't know this because he's not even listed in IMDb's credits, but motion capture genius Andy Serkis helped do all of the monster special effects, and
did he really?
He really, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was doing that because they were filming in the same locations. They were filming Canada, they were filming Godzilla, and they were also filming the new Rise of the Planet of the Apes movie that is coming out. They were filming them at the same time. Actually, the DP who worked on Godzilla actually walked on the set of Planet of the Apes because he thought it was the same set, and he started working for a couple hours before he realized he was on the wrong set. But, speaking of Andy Serkis, Zach.
So I love the guy because he was in Lord of the Rings, obviously. He was great as Gollum, but I didn't realize that the big news was he is going to direct Warner Brothers' adaptation of The Jungle Book, which apparently there's more than one adaptation. There's the Disney adaptation, which has Jon Favreau as the director and Idris Elba as the lead. And Warner Brothers says, Andy Serkis, we want you to direct, which I think is really cool because the guy is a genius.
Can we go back for a second? Idris Elba is the lead in The Jungle Book?
Apparently. According
in
to
the live action?
According to hitfix.com.
My name is Mowgli.
Yeah.
Disney and Jon Favreau's The Jungle Book has Idris Elba. And I'm assuming that means he's the lead.
Well, I'm wondering if
he may be like Baloo.
Yeah, I'm thinking Baloo's probably going to be a human instead of a bear in the live action. Yeah. There's all to be obviously human characters because they wouldn't have. I don't think they're going to have CGI talking animals.
I don't think so either. But
so that would make sense if it was like Baloo.
Or maybe a narrator, you never know.
Could be.
They're doing a lot of this with live action adaptations of classically animated movies. Like, The Jungle Book, Tarzan, or King of the Jungle comes out next year. Skarsgård's King of the Jungle. And but anyway, Andy Serkis.
So again, I'm questioning casting again.
Really?
I love Skarsgård, but you're telling me he's an Amazonian like guy in the trees? The dude's whiter than you.
Story.
Like,
no,
the story is different.
The story is he shipwrecked.
Okay,
he was That's the original story.
The original story. I think he was raised by the apes.
Englishman who
and they come back and find him. Okay, yeah. Never mind.
But I'm pretty excited because I like Andy Serkis a lot. I really think he's awesome. So I'm interested to see how he is going. I mean, this is his first directorial debut. So I'm pretty excited for that, really. And since we're going to talk about current news, so HBO, if have you seen Deadwood?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all their fans were super butthurt when they ended that series early.
You were one of those butthurt fans.
I was, and I still am. I'm pissed. That show was so fucking damn good. Anyway, Game of Thrones is their huge cash cow now.
Yeah.
The news came out a couple days ago. Martin is currently in talks with HBO. I mean, they're going to end on 7 seasons most likely, and they're going to end the series with a movie to wring as much money as they can out of it. And I will totally go see it.
Now, will it be an HBO movie?
They haven't said. I imagine it would be a movie that's on HBO because that's an HBO property.
I mean, I'm sure they'll release it.
But I can also see them
Theaters
doing a wide release in theaters because that's more money.
Exactly. That's exactly
and it's such a huge pop culture thing right now.
Absolutely. I mean, like we talked about it a long time ago, but they're doing the Entourage movie, which is another HBO show, and they're doing a wide release on that. So I can't imagine them not doing that with Game of Thrones because that, like you said, it's brings in so much money and has so many fans. And I mean, a movie adaptation of those books, and I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, I don't know how many books are there supposed to be in the series.
There's supposed to be 7.
But they split one of the seasons, didn't they, this past season?
Yeah, this 4th season is the second half of the 3rd book. But there's talks that it's not actually going to be the direct series, that it's going to be what's called... The Dunk and Egg is a series of novellas that Martin put out where it's the tale of Duncan the Tall and Aegon the Unlikely. And it's just about how this hedge knight just goes through and finds himself in these super huge situations that have impacts years later. Like, they still talk about some of this shit in the series.
So they'll like reference stuff that maybe like will
come
up.
Like, I think it's going to provide backstory.
Okay.
That people can say, oh, well, that's why people, that's why Walder Frey's still alive. Because in one of the novellas, Dunk says, oh, I kind of want to throw him down the well because he's an annoying little shit. Turns out later fans probably would wish that would have happened.
Well, like I was saying, it's kind of along the same lines as like J.K. Rowling, like talking about coming out with the new movie that she's writing that's like within the same world as
the Beetle the Bard movie.
Beetle and the Bard movie, yeah. So
she'll make $1 billion off of it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just name recognition.
Oh, and one last bit of news since I'm superhero centric. I love it. Hugh Jackman finally got a screenwriter for his Wolverine sequel.
Nice.
which is nice because the first Wolverine movie was terrible, but this last one was actually pretty good. They did a really good job.
Do they know who they got? Does it say?
Oh,
Don't know if it-
tits.
Aaron Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin.
That'd be the wittiest Wolverine movie of all time. Oh, Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, talking about that, him and who is it?
David Fincher.
David Fincher, are getting together for another wonderful movie. Andrew, you want to take this?
Yeah, so apparently Aaron Sorkin and David Fincher are going to get together to do a biopic of Steve Jobs.
And not a shitty one with Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A real one.
This movie will be great because it has David Fincher and Aaron Sorkin.
Now, from what I've read, and I don't know if these rumors are true or not, but this biopic, 3 scenes.
Yeah, 3 scenes all taking place directly before a big Apple news conference release. They always have their big on-stage presentation, and I think all 3 scenes are supposed to take place different times before one of those, like when they released the iPod,
The iPhone.
the iPhone, and something else.
Probably the iPad, because the iPad is still the biggest selling
Tablet.
product of all time, I think.
Really?
I think it is the biggest selling product of all time. Or
love-
fastest selling product. One
Yeah,
of the two.
something like that.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
But yeah, no, I mean, those two together for anything is going to be great, but especially a biopic. 'Cause, I mean, there's already precedent for it. Social Network, the Zuckerberg story, that was them, and that was obviously a great movie. So
If you look back at Aaron Sorkin's history of stuff he's written, all the way back to his first writing debut in A Few Good Men, that guy has put out some amazing shit.
Such a good movie, too.
he's good in film, television, everything. I mean,
Yeah. The
his
Newsroom is still the best written show on TV.
Newsroom, back in the day, West Wing,
Oh, yeah.
great. I mean,
haven't
that
seen
had
show.
such a huge following, like one of the biggest followings.
I should probably
for
watch
any
that
network
show.
TV show. Oh yeah, I've seen every episode. It's
You're
amazing.
a major fan of The West
I
Wing.
love the West Wing.
Now that I'm mostly done with all my school stuff, I can start catching up on a lot of TV I have to watch.
Fun fact: the West Wing, especially the first 3 or 4 seasons, Rob Lowe is one of the main characters. This is before Rob Lowe was Rob Lowe.
Before Wayne's World.
Yeah, I don't know if it was before Wayne's World. It's
No,
probably-
I don't think it came out that early.
No, it didn't come out that early, but still, Rob Lowe's one of those people that he plays that same character in a lot of movies. That really kind of suave, good-looking businessman. But you don't really remember Rob Lowe from Wayne's World unless go back and watching you do.
Love
But when
Wayne's
I
World.
first saw Wayne's World, he wasn't the guy you really fixated on. I don't think.
He looks the exact same now as when he did.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how he does it. So apparently Sam Raimi got a wild hair up his ass and decided, hey, let's make another Grudge reboot.
Oh god.
Yeah.
That's all we need is more crappy horror films.
Yeah, the last one was, 10 years ago? 2004 is when the Michelle Gellar one came out?
There was 2 of them. There was The Grudge and The Grudge 2, I think. But
Okay. Sam Raimi, I'm not going to lie, I'm not a fan of his work outside of, Army of Darkness and any of those Evil Deads. I don't like Spider-Man's. His version of the
I
Spider-Man's.
thought the first Spider-Man was alright.
Yeah. If you go back and you watch it,
Oh,
it does
no,
not hold up.
It doesn't hold
at
up to
all.
the test of time, but when I saw it the first time, I was like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's because we were young and idiotic. Now we're older and idiotic.
At the time, it was the fastest grossing movie to 100 million.
That's right, yeah. But he was originally set to direct the Warcraft movie.
Thank God that's not happening.
Yeah, he's not doing that anymore. So he's like, well, fuck it. I'll just make something else, and I'll make it equally as shitty.
The Warcraft movie, this is completely separate. The Warcraft movie, if there's some good storylines they could pick to make that a decent movie, but I wouldn't have him direct it.
No, I can only think of one decent. This is going to show how nerdy we are. You and I don't. Did you ever play World of Warcraft or any of the Warcraft games?
No, I did not.
Good for you. Good for you. That was one of the worst mistakes I
I had
ever
friends.
made. Oh,
Oh, sorry.
Bastard.
yeah, that was a low blow. But I think I can only think of one. That's the Arthas storyline. That would be good for a movie. Like before he went all crazy and became the Lich King.
They could do the tits. I can't. Titties.
They could do the titties.
I don't remember. I don't remember what I was.
No,
gonna
there's
say.
a film I'd watch.
World of Warcraft.
All right. Anyway, let's get off of World of Warcraft.
Do you guys want to jump to March Madness?
I don't.
Yes.
I don't see why not. Yeah.
Let's do it. Because I think even though we only have 8 TV shows left, we're going to spend a fair amount of time talking about that because
Especially the last 4.
the last. Oh God.
Oh yeah, that's stacked down there.
yeah.
Real fast, speaking of March Madness,
If you talk about
Duke lost. Ha!
yeah, Duke lost. Well, I was moving past that.
Oh,
'cause
North
everyone
Carolina
knows-
won. Suck my balls.
They're not going to make it very far. Anyway,
Yeah.
Warren Buffett's $1 billion thing.
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure everyone's heard of that. How can you not? The dude's going to give away $1 billion when he has a perfect bracket. Well,
he wasn't going to
apparently
give away shit.
Not anymore. Yeah, he would have.
You think he really?
No,
would
he
have?
did. I actually, they had him on ESPN yesterday talking
Well,
about
I was
it.
actually talking to someone. They're saying if anyone got like really close, like had all teams in the Final Four correct and hadn't missed anything, that he was going to try to buy him out for like 10, 20 million, something like that.
I've taken it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you would be stupid not to. Because
Oh, dude, I don't know. That's one of those hypotheticals that...
no, I mean, okay. Say you do win, you're going to take the 500 million over the billion anyway. It's a one-time payment of 500 million versus $1 billion over like 30 years or whatever it was. You're going to take the 500 million first off. If you don't, you're stupid. So you're looking at 500 million at one time if you get everything right, but you have 3 games you could possibly lose and get $0, or he'll buy you out for 20 million on the
Take it.
spot.
I would probably
you take the
do
20
that.
million.
Do you know what the odds are of getting a perfect bracket in March Madness?
It's like 1 in like trillions.
One, no, it's like 1 in
One.
quintillion.
It is 1 in 9 quintillion. You have a better chance of winning Mega Million, Powerball, and any of your local
getting
lotteries
struck in
at
the
the
lightning.
same
Yeah.
time on the same day. That's
Yeah.
how good your odds are of getting a perfect bracket.
Well, the reason I brought this up is because on Fox Sports Radio, coming here this morning, they announced that the last guy who still had a perfect bracket no longer does. So guess what, Warren Buffett, your money's safe.
Yeah. Even if he did give away his money, it wouldn't matter. He's Warren Buffett. It's $1 billion to him.
Is a drop in the bucket.
He's slightly less rich than Bill Gates. That's how rich he is.
Yeah, now. And he used to be the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, there was an interview with him. He's like, I've lost more than that in one day on a bad trade.
Yep.
He's like, so...
Jesus Christ.
He's like, so this is not unprecedented for me. So if someone does do this, it's not the end of the world.
I heard a story about this. We're going way off topic here, but this is a really cool story I want to talk about. He's in Forbes top 10. I believe he's a Latin American gentleman who owns the rights to all the kiosks and stuff that you see in like malls and areas around the world. He apparently said he could buy an Aston Martin every single day and throw it away and buy a new one for the rest of his life, and by the time he died, he'd still be a billionaire.
I believe it.
Is that not just
Yeah,
blow
have
your
you
fucking
heard
mind?
that statistic? They say of Bill Gates. Bill Gates could spend $8,000 an hour for the next 137 years and still have more money than the top 10 grossing celebrities combined.
Oh yeah, the way that money.
$8,000 an hour.
Well, they've broken down his like annual salary down to like the second, and it's just absurd how much that guy makes like a second. It's just insane.
Is he still
It's
making money
gross.
or?
Who, Bill Gates?
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Sure.
really?
I would think he is.
I mean, because I'm sure
Why?
he's still. He's never going to give up complete all the shares that he owns of like Microsoft.
He's
and
just
stuff
not
like
the
that.
CEO.
Yeah, but I'm still he owns a bunch of shares in all those companies and stuff, and they're still making money, so he's still making money.
You don't need it. Just give away your shares.
Yeah, but
me.
I mean, Bill Gates, I will say, has done a lot of like philanthropy work though.
No, I'm not. I'm not
he has
taking
done
that
good
away
with
for the
his money.
guy.
He's not like a jerk that's just hoarding all his money.
No, I remember for a couple years ago he was driving that old shitty pickup truck still that he got when he first. The guy's not a
No, well, that's why
gallivanting spender of money.
That's why so many people, like, regardless of like political alignment or whatever, like Warren Buffett, is because the dude's worth billions and billions and billions and still lives in the same home in like Tennessee or Arkansas, or where the hell it
I
is.
saw that.
That when he bought it for like $20,000, and now it's worth still a few $100,000. It's not worth. He still lives there, and he's not throwing his money in everybody's face.
Yeah,
All right, March Madness.
Sorry.
yeah. We got way off that.
So, our first matchup.
For those of you who don't know what this is, March Madness, what we did is we took 32 of the top TV shows on air right now.
Top rated.
The top rated. And put their last seasons up against each other. And we've narrowed it down to 8 television shows, just like you would in a March Madness bracket. So, and we had high seeds and low seeds. The top ranked TV shows on air right now got the higher seeds, and so on down the line.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've narrowed it down to 8. And these are the TV shows that are going up against each other today. We have the number 1 seed, Breaking Bad, taking on the number 8 seed, Dexter. And then we have the number 4 seed, The Walking Dead, taking on the number 5 seed, Sherlock. After that, we have the number 2 seed, Game of Thrones, taking on the number 7 seed, The Newsroom. And lastly, we have the number 3 seed, House of Cards, taking on the number 11 seed, True Detective.
The Cinderella story.
It is a Cinderella story, but it's a very good Cinderella story and a very good show.
So let's start from the top. Breaking Bad and Dexter.
Let you guys take this one from the go.
I will tell you right now, I'm going for Dexter.
You're going for Dexter?
Wow,
Going
that's
for Dexter.
surprising.
I like Breaking Bad, but not as much as I like Dexter. We talked about this last week. For me, the pacing of the story is just a little too slow for my liking. I do think it's a very good show. I think it's one of the most beloved shows ever, especially that's just recently finished. But I'm going to go with Dexter. So I'll let you guys battle it out from there.
Wow.
I don't even know.
That just blew my mind. But you know what?
so-
There are upsets this past week and the real March Madness, so maybe
you,
there will be
Mercer.
one here today.
Man, see the problem with this matchup is I've only seen the first season of Breaking Bad and I've only seen through the second season of Dexter. Breaking Bad's first season didn't do anything for me, and Dexter I lost interest. You go, Andrew, and then I'll be the deciding.
For me, Dexter was my favorite show of all time. Hands down, nothing could come close to it. Until Breaking Bad came along. This last season of Dexter, it wrapped up well. I liked the ending of it. And I'm just talking about the very last episode of Dexter. I thought was an incredible episode. But that season as a whole didn't grasp me. I had to force myself to watch it because I just wanted to get to the end. It was a really good season. But this last season of Breaking Bad was incredibly well done, very well written and shot, and it had the exact same type of shock and awe ending as what Dexter did. So, on a points basis, I'm going to go with Breaking Bad.
Shit. Fuck. I have no based purely on the fact that I know how passionate people are about Breaking Bad and about how Dexter, outside of the fans of Dexter, it sort of whimpered. I'm just gonna say Breaking Bad simply because I don't have a reason. I haven't watched either show in so long.
I really didn't have a big horse in this race, but I will say this next matchup I do.
Oh.
And I will debate it to my death if I have to.
So Breaking Bad's going to move on to the final four.
It's going to be into the final four.
All right, so Walking Dead and Sherlock.
Am I going first again? I don't mind to.
I'll go first.
Let Zach go.
I'm going to go Sherlock.
Me too.
Hey, me three. Hey! Look at that. I didn't have to fight anybody on
Sherlock's so
it.
fucking good,
No.
man.
No, it is,
It's so well written, so well acted, and the thing about its second season, that last episode with Moriarty, where
Spoiler.
that's all I'm going to say. The last episode of season 2 is so good.
Oh, season 2.
Yeah, season 2.
That's one of the best episodes of TV I have ever seen.
It absolutely
and
is
The
great.
Walking Dead's third season with the governor was pretty good, but at no point in watching Sherlock am I disinterested.
Wait, did you see the third season of Sherlock?
I haven't.
Oh. Just as good, if not better,
Yeah.
than the second
Damn.
season.
But The Walking Dead, there's points where I just don't care.
Yeah.
There's entire storylines I don't care about in that show.
Actually,
I don't disagree with that.
did you guys see on Twitter the big craziness that The Walking Dead, their last episode, got?
I heard about it.
I heard
that
about it on
is
Facebook and
crazy.
everything.
It was dark. It was brutal.
Now, that makes me want to watch the show again.
It was... I'm loving this new season.
Really?
Shit is going down. Next year, it's going to be a big contender if they keep up with everything that has been going on this.
Now
It'll be crazy if they do because they have not been able to keep a showrunner for more than a season at a time. They keep getting new showrunners, so they'll have to keep the same guy or girl or whoever they have. I don't know.
Yeah.
That makes I'm gonna have to go back and watch this season then.
It was
Because that moment I heard about, my mom told me about it because she loves The Walking Dead.
Oh, it's a great show.
I couldn't fucking believe it when she was telling me.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil anything. All I'm going to say is, if you haven't caught up so far to this point in The Walking Dead, you need to, because shit's going down.
And since this season hasn't completed, we're basing this on the third season. And Sherlock wins. Sherlock's going on to face Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Okay, this next coming... Yeah, congratulations, Sherlock. This coming one here, Game of Thrones, The Newsroom, probably going to be the highest debated one for us. I think, anyway.
Well, I'm definitely going last on this one because I know exactly what both of you are going to say.
Yeah.
So go for it.
You first, Mr. Ormsby.
We first. Okay, we all know whose horse is in this race with Zach. So, for me, I personally am going to go with the most well-written show. I'm going to go with one of the most suspenseful shows. And I'm going to go with one of the most well-acted shows. I'm going to go with The Newsroom, because with Game of Thrones, I'm going to poke holes in you first. I'm going to go with the lawyer's version. I'm not going to say why I'm right. I'm going to say why you're wrong.
Okay. No, that's totally good.
With Game of Thrones this last season, and I'm just going to say I really love Game of Thrones. It's one of the best shows of all time. What I'm going to do with Game of Thrones is, if you look back at its last season, you only think of one episode, the Red Wedding. Everything else was just leading up to that one point. Everything else was just dragging out plot just to get to the end of the season to where you can get to that one episode. And if you look at it, how many actors can you think of besides Peter Dinklage that are just astounding in that show? Everybody else is just meh, so-so actors. When you look at The Newsroom, you have Jeff Daniels, you have that entire cast. Everybody just draws you in, and you just love it, love it, love it. And you have Aaron Sorkin writing it, probably the best writer in Hollywood right now. And
we can just hold on real quick. Aaron Sorkin is like the greatest screenwriter of all time.
I
We can just
would
go
not
ahead and
disagree
say
with that.
I'll say it too. He's the greatest screenwriter of all time.
Okay, sorry.
And if you look at The Newsroom, there was not a single episode that didn't draw you in that wasn't suspenseful. And if you look back at the first season of The Newsroom, you got different storylines. By that I mean there were different... If you don't watch The Newsroom, it's about Newsroom, obviously, and they tell the stories of the biggest news stories from a fictional standpoint of actual news that happened in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. Like they covered the Osama bin Laden killing, they covered the oil spill off of... excuse me.
In the Gulf of Mexico.
In the Gulf of Mexico.
There was a lot of Occupy Wall Street stuff.
Occupy Wall Street.
In this last season.
But this last season focused on one major story, and I'm not going to spoil it, but there was one line that summed up the entire season for me. It wasn't true. And if you both know, you guys saw last season, so you know what I'm talking about, how as soon as they said that one line, that oh shit moment hit you, and you knew it was going to be an amazing season. I'm going to stop talking now. I think I've said enough about why I think The Newsroom should win. Now I'm going to hand it over to Zach.
Okay. That
was so meek. Like, okay,
that was a great argument. The Newsroom was great. I love Jeff Daniels, and that's a great show. Game of Thrones was better. Game of Thrones, listen, I'm going to vote for it, and there's so many reasons that I can hardly define them all. I'm going to rebuttal some of what you said. The whole cast, minus maybe one person, is incredibly well acted. Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who plays Jaime Lannister, that scene where he's in the tub with Brienne talking about why he killed the Mad King and why he is who he is, that was some powerful shit. That was one of the best scenes the whole season. And I don't care for Emilia Clarke. I'm trying to think of other actors that are really good. And that's anyway, the whole season was not leading up to the Red Wedding. Granted, that was the most powerful scene of the whole season. And typically, Game of Thrones seasons, you get to episode 9 and the big shit happens. I'd say another memorable scene was that scene where Daenerys sacks Astapor with her dragons, and the big reveal is, oh shit, she knows Valyrian. This dude's been talking shit about her the whole time. The Newsroom is so good, but it hasn't had the impact Game of Thrones did this past season. When you have on cable television, like, regular cable, like NBC, ABC, when you have their talk shows talking about Game of Thrones and a moment that happens in that season, that shows how big of a reach the show has gotten. That it's so well written. Granted, minus one episode I didn't think was well written. It's so well written. It's taken a property and expanded it to give it a reach. It has brought people in that never would have watched a show like this before. So I obviously I'm going to go Game of Thrones, and I can't even think of all the reasons why, but there's so many. And I have a feeling that Austin's going to pick the Newsroom, and I'm going to be.
All I'm going to say is, every single point you made, you're right. It is one of the best shows of all time. I just wanted to make this a really interesting debate.
No, I will say on the back of which is better written, we just said that Aaron Sorkin's the best writer, and you can't argue that the Newsroom is better written as a screenplay.
No, you're right.
Than Game of Thrones. I wouldn't argue necessarily the books, because that's a different story completely. Yeah. Different median.
Completely different animal. Yes.
Yeah, different thing. I will agree with you. You said as well, Zach, though. I believe that this series did kind of reinvent the fantasy genre for TV. Because there's no other fantasy TV show that even comes close to this. No, I think these are both great shows, and this is the parody that comes in March Madness. Yeah. It's all about the matchups. Any other week, I think any other time, these would have both went through against other opponents.
Decimated the competition.
But since they're up against each other, I had to pick one, and it has to be Game of Thrones.
Yes!
Oh! Because, no, I do agree. I mean, you have people talking about this for an entire week. I mean, you're talking about how people were talking about that Walking Dead episode. That was nothing compared to how they were talking about that Game of Thrones episode, The Red Wedding. And that's happened multiple seasons, but that one was the biggest. And I think the Newsroom is powerful. I think it's well written, but it doesn't have that same pull. And it's not because it's on a smaller network, because Showtime has slightly smaller audience than
Newsroom's
HBO.
on HBO.
Oh, it is on HBO, isn't it?
Yeah, it is HBO.
Oh, well, then never mind. They don't have any excuse. No, no, but I just think I think that as good as the Newsroom is, Game of Thrones has to take this one.
One more reason, and I just thought of it. Game of Thrones is the only show, well, one of the only, there's like two other ones, where I have actively been on the edge of my seat during any episode.
And that's surprising, because you read the books just like I have, and you read them way before I did.
Yeah, I knew the Red Wedding was coming, and when we were watching it, and my heart was pounding. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I want to see this.
And you had the National playing the credits.
Yep.
Love the National.
Yeah, it's good.
The Newsroom, I will say this, I love it to death. This next coming season, the third season, is its final season, which is very depressing.
Yeah.
I think it is not only a great show, I think it's an important show for the world we live in today. I think it does have very liberal views now and then, but I'm kind of leaning that way personally, so I tend to agree with most of the things they say anyway, so that may be why I'm a little biased towards it. And I think it's an important show. If you lean more towards the right, you may think it's junk, and I respect that too, but I guess that's just why I connect with it more.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like in a lot of the same ways, that's why The West Wing was such a good show and why it was so important, is because, and it also had liberal left leanings, versus more conservative right leanings, because it was Aaron Sorkin still writing it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, that gave me more of an insight into the way that American politics work than probably any class I've ever taken. Like, I'm being dead serious. I mean, because it's not, this is how it should work. This is how it really works. All the fumbling and bumbling of the government and everything. So a lot of the same reasons I do agree that it is important.
Before we go to the next matchup, real quick, and this is just me plugging the series. If you thought season 3 was good, wait until you see season 4.
Oh, the coming season in
Game of Thrones.
15 days from today, correct?
2 weeks from tomorrow. I'm telling you, if you have no idea how good this season's going to be. It has the possibility, if it's done as well as I think it's going to be, it's going to win the Emmy for Best Dramatic Series.
It very well could.
Yeah.
Although, it may not, because the show that might win
Is
the next one
true.
that's up right now.
But man, anyway, go ahead.
I'm going to say The Newsroom, I love it to death. It was not my horse in this race. Coming up, we have House of Cards, the number 3 seed, versus True Detective, the number 11 seed. I went first last time. Austin, take it away, please.
All right. Just recently watched the season finale of True Detective. Mm-hmm. Very good. A very good finale. And it's been a good season all throughout. House of Cards, I watched all of the second season as soon as it came out. Within like a week of it coming out, I'd seen every single episode. And the opening episode of that season was must-see TV. Holy
I still
shit.
can't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Have you even seen the rest of the season yet?
I've seen through episode 2.
Okay.
But I've seen episode 1 of True. I'm telling you.
Episode 1, it might be enough to put it on anyway. But no, my vote has to be House of Cards. It's just amazing. It's a great TV. Seriously, the $7.99 you pay for Netflix a month is enough just to watch this and maybe Orange is the New Black. Like, if you want to watch those two shows,
really
it's
need to
almost
watch
worth
that
the
show.
$7-8 a month to get Netflix. Seriously, do it.
I just recently watched the first episode of True Detective, and that was enough to tell me that it's going to be a great show. I love the chemistry McConaughey and Woody Harrelson have. But man, House of Cards, there's something about Kevin Spacey and Robin Wright. Kevin Spacey carries the show, but Robin Wright does just as much for that show, I think.
Yeah.
She's great as his wife. I would go with House of Cards based on the first episode alone. So after seeing the second one, and I know I'm not caught up on this series, House of Cards is my vote because that's how good it is.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for House of Cards as well. I'm going to go ahead and throw some pointers in there as well. If you look at True Detective, the season wrapped up very well, but it kind of felt like it was setting up for something that we're never going to get. Because, as you know, with True Detective, it's going to be 2 different people every single year. So this whole season, they were setting up for stuff that could have taken it many, many more seasons down the line, but we're never going to get to those storylines. Having said that, I love True Detective. I thought it was an amazing season. Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey were astounding actors in it, but they don't hold a candle to the incredible TV that you get from House of Cards. One of my favorite shows of all time. I can't say enough good things about it.
There's just no down episode. Every single one hits it on the head. Every
Absolutely.
single time.
Did you notice that, and I'm only 1 episode into True Detective, but one of the cops, the black cops talking to Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey is Leroy from Sons of Anarchy, and then the black preacher is the dude from The Wire. The older black cop who kind of gets thrown in with Dominic West.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting how they're pulling so many secondary people from other shows.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. House of Cards wins.
Okay, so we have the final 4 set. Oh, God. Breaking Bad versus Sherlock. And Game of Thrones versus House of Cards.
Hey, AMC, BBC, HBO, Netflix. All 4 different networks. I love it. Yeah.
I love it.
We're truly, truly blessed to have such great TV to watch.
We are.
In the past, I don't know how many years you want to go back, but right now we are definitely in the golden age of television.
Oh, yeah.
I think so because we have so many options.
So many options and good options.
Yeah.
It's not just your network television series that are putting out.
I mean,
the generic crap. You're getting good competition, which is fostering good shows.
well, the whole bracket. Sorry, real quick. The whole bracket. I think there's only 2 shows that I didn't really care for, and that was Mad Men and Boardwalk Empire. Other than that, I think every show on the bracket was good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to plug a show real quick. If you haven't seen it, watch The Idiot Abroad. It's on Netflix. It is hilarious. It's Ricky Gervais, and I don't know the other guy, and he takes his friend, and he says, go to these places.
Karl Pilkington?
Yeah, Karl Pilkington. He says, go to these places. And this guy, he does shit just to fuck with him. And then the last season I just watched is with Warwick Davis. Where Warwick Davis goes with Karl Pilkington. It's so funny. Watch it. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
I felt really bad for Warwick, the stuff that Carl did to him.
God, Carl was kind of a dick.
He was a dick. It was funny, though.
Okay.
So yeah, that wraps up this week's March Madness bracket. We're gonna run a little long today, and I'm okay with that. Are you guys okay with that?
I
good.
can deal with it.
Okay. We asked people on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, if you had any questions for us, if you wanted to get to know us a little bit better, to send us in some questions. We got some really good questions, and I was really surprised with some of the questions, and I chose 4 really good ones. We're going to start with the top one I'm going to ask you guys. This is a 2-parter question. What film is not in IMDb's top 250 films of all time that should be? We'll start with that one, and then we'll work our way into what film is in IMDb's top 250 that should not be. So let's start with what should be in there that's not in there right now. Zach, what do you think?
One of my favorite movies of all time, I think it's number 3 on my list, or number 4, is a movie called Trade with Kevin Kline. It's about this, I think he's 16 or 15-year-old kid in Mexico. His sister gets kidnapped and plugged into the sex trafficking. And, man, that movie is powerful. And it's not on the top 250, and it should be. It is one of the very few movies. There's a moment in that movie where it happened, and I cried when I saw it, man. It was that moving.
Was it where they took her into the field?
No. It was the part where, and I'm sorry if you haven't seen it. Too bad. It's been out for like 6 years now. It's the part where they're in the van and they get away, and then the dudes get them back. And they take, the one guy takes the girl up, and he's going to beat her. And she turns around and says, you will pay for this, I am sure. And she kills herself.
Oh, that was...
And man, it was... there's no words to describe how great that scene was.
Trade came out in 2007, and it currently has a 7.5 on IMDb.
That should be so much higher.
Austin, what do you got for us?
All right.
Top film that should be in IMDb's top 250.
That should be. I actually had a couple that I thought could be, but I'm going to just go with one. I'm going to go Ocean's 11.
The original?
The original, the very first one. With Matt Damon.
I'm talking like the 19...
Oh,
no.
What?
The 2001.
That's a surprise.
The 2001.
I would not have guessed that.
The 2001.
I love that movie.
And I love that
really,
movie.
Really
it's great. I mean, obviously it was good enough they made 2 more of them.
Yeah.
And those aren't as good, but that first one was great. I mean, as far as like a heist movie, because everyone was talking American Hustle is the classic American heist movie. It meets all the criteria. It's a great thing.
That was a heist movie?
Exactly. That's how that's in all the trailers and stuff. That's how they advertised it. It doesn't hold a candle to what Ocean's 11 did.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll agree with that.
To take a cast that big with that many stars and make it work is not easy to do, and that movie did really well with it. Yeah. So I think Ocean's 11 should have been on that list.
Good arguments.
Ocean's 11 came out in 2001, and it currently has a 7.8 on IMDb.
2001?
2001.
It's been that long?
Hey guys, I was 10 years old.
Oh my god, man.
Yeah. Long time ago.
Ancient.
For me, a movie that should be in IMDb's top 250 came out in 2006, featuring Leonardo DiCaprio and Djimon Hounsou, and that is Blood Diamond. I know I've talked about it before on this podcast. I love that movie so much. Just heart-wrenching, the stuff that Djimon goes through to get his family back from all of the terrible things that are happening in Sierra Leone during the civil war that was going on. And I don't think I've ever seen Leonardo DiCaprio perform a better role.
That's such a good movie.
Than what he did as the diamond smuggler, and his accent was dead on for African. And then Jennifer Connelly, she did a great job. I like her a lot. I think she's one of the best actresses in Hollywood. I can't say enough good things about Blood Diamond. And if you haven't seen that movie, go and see it. Be prepared for an emotional ride because it takes you everywhere.
You should see all the movies we just mentioned.
Absolutely. I've seen all the movies you're talking about. Love them all. Blood Diamond, as I said, came out in 2006. It currently has an 8.0 on IMDb's
so it's
top.
Like right there.
It's right there,
yeah.
almost going to push it over to making it in. Okay, we're going to move on to the next part of this. What film is currently in IMDb's top 250 that should not be?
Let me go last on this one because I actually don't have one picked out. I went through and I couldn't find one that you guys hadn't already picked. So,
Well, I'll go first again. Shutter Island. Shutter Island, I think, got an 8.2, and I think it's like in the 170, 160 range. Maybe not even that high. That movie was a heaping pile of shit. I mean, it was predictable. It was not that good. The best part of that movie was Mark Ruffalo. And even then, it was just 10 minutes in, we knew what was going on. We knew how the movie was going to end. I did not like it at all. That was Scorsese, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Scorsese.
That was definitely on the bottom end of his movies.
I am going to get a lot of shit for this because this movie is beloved by so many people and is probably one of the... I already see Austin's giving me the evil eye.
oh yeah,
Are you going to say Forrest Gump?
No.
Okay.
This is probably one of the biggest, if not the largest cult classic film of all time. I do not like, brace yourself, I don't like Donnie Darko. It's currently ranked 191. I can understand why people like this film. For me personally, there's a lot of films out there that should take its place in the 191 slot. It didn't grasp me like it grasped some people. Not the best.
So good.
Not the best.
So good.
Okay. Moving on. Now you all can hate me. You can unsubscribe from the podcast.
I don't think there's that big of a following on Donnie Darko that you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I
mean,
don't either.
I think there is some cult following for it, but not crazy. I'm fine. I don't. It's barely on the list. And I think there are movies that could come in ahead of it, including all the ones we mentioned, and that would be the Star Trek movie.
Oh, how low? It's 249?
It's 248.
248?
It's 3 away from not being in it at all. And I think, and for me, I didn't really like that movie all that well. We don't give number ratings around here, but if I did, it would not be in the 8s. I think as a sci-fi movie, I honestly would rather go back and watch some of the prequel Star Wars movies, the shitty prequel Star, than I would watch Star Trek again.
You know what? I feel like I'm one of the very few people that actually
dirty.
That liked the prequel Star Wars movies.
Really?
I
didn't like all of them, but there's some I would go back. There was a couple I'd go back and watch before I watched Star Trek again.
How the fuck did you guys sneak on my podcast? Also, Jurassic Park. It's right at the tipping point. It's number 250 right now. Jurassic Park is one of the greatest films of all time.
That movie was better.
It was my childhood. Jurassic Park was my childhood. All the other kids, that is where I could tell branching off. For me personally, you got the cool kids, and then you had all the nerd kids. How did that branch off? It was Jurassic Park. All the cool kids in school were like, oh, Jurassic Park, that was a really cool movie. And then they went on and they did their shit. And then there were the kids like me who saw Jurassic Park, and it changed their life, and you pretended you were a dinosaur in the playground.
Dude, that movie was good when I saw it the first time, but we went and saw it when they re-released it.
Did you go see it in IMD or the 3D?
We saw it in 3D.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were supposed to go with us, but then you passed out and because you got so drunk on the sidewalk.
That is true.
Yeah,
I went back and saw it though. So
it's not as good now
Bullshit.
as it was then.
Bullshit. It holds
Sorry.
up. It holds
Sorry.
up.
Anyway, so what's the next question here?
Pretty generic one, but I figured it was worth mentioning. Also a two-parter. What is the best film of all time, and what is the worst film of all time?
For me, the worst film of all time is way easier to go by than best film.
Yeah,
Really?
so we'll do that first. Go ahead.
Okay, worst film of all time. Go ahead, Austin.
I was just trying to give credit to Jake Gyllenhaal for Donnie Darko, but the Prince of Persia movie, I hate that movie so much. Like literally, if that movie comes on, I'll turn the TV off completely. I don't even want to change the channel because I know it's on the TV somewhere, and it might infect the rest of my TV with its shittiness.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Oh my god, worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
It was
it
really
wasn't
bad.
great, but I've seen some shit.
No.
The Spirit. If you don't know what it is, it's when it came out, I think it was 2008 or 2007. It was marketed as sort of in the same vein as Sin City. And man, that movie was a pile of dog shit. It's the only movie I ever fell asleep in the theaters, and it's the only movie I ever walked out of. That's how bad it was. It was awful.
Oh yeah, I must mention part of the reason I hate that movie so much, Prince of Persia, is because I played every single game on every console it ever came out on.
Oh, yeah. That'll do it.
And the storyline isn't that deep in the games. You easily could have made a good movie out of it, but they just chose like the worst possible way to do it.
Can you think of one movie that started off as a video game that turned into a very good movie?
The first Mortal Kombat.
I was thinking the first Mortal Kombat was pretty good. Not
A game that started out as a game, but then ended up as a movie, and the movie was very good.
yeah. I can't think of one.
Street Fighter.
Mother of God.
Damn, dude, that's a tough one. Actually, the first Resident Evil was very good, I thought.
When I was a kid, it was cool.
Man,
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
You guys think on that. I'm going to tell you what I think is the worst movie of all time. I want you to listen to this cast and be amazed at how shitty this movie is. This movie came out in 1998. Here's the cast. Jim Broadbent, Sean Connery, Uma Thurman, and Ray Fiennes. How can that movie be bad, you say? Well, I'll tell you. This movie, called The Avengers, not the new one, the one that came out in 1998 about the two British agents to stop Sean Connery, is hands down the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. I was looking it up on IMDb. It currently has a 3.6 out of 10.
Oh my god.
That is brutal. I'm going to look up what you guys thought. I want to see how they did, what their rating on IMDb is.
For ours?
Yeah.
Mine had a 6.6.
A 6.6.
Mine had literally double exactly what yours had.
What was yours, Zach?
Oh, shit snacks. Hold on. It's got a 4.8 on
4.8.
IMDb, and I gave it a 1.
Part of that 4.8 is Zach.
Yeah, I'm looking for video game movies that started out as video games that were actually decent.
There aren't any.
Man, there really isn't. Outside of the first Mortal Kombat and Silent Hill. Silent Hill was actually decent. Other than that, yeah, you're right. There isn't anything.
And you're going to think I'm crazy for saying this, but it's possible that the Warcraft movie may be the first one that's really good. I'm going off this solely off the director. Do you know who Duncan Jones? You may know him from such movies as Moon.
Ooh.
Yeah, and Source Code.
Another
Jake Gyllenhaal
movie.
Man.
Yeah, that actually wasn't too bad.
Moon was great.
Yeah,
Moon was great. Sam Rockwell was awesome, though.
Fun fact about Duncan Jones. Do you know who his dad is? David Bowie.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah, that's his dad. And then he directed Moon with Sam Rockwell and Kevin Spacey as the computer voice. I love that movie.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Moon is not in top 250 films.
Okay, yeah, that needs to be in there. That's a great.
Yeah, it
that's
currently
a really
has
good movie.
as well an 8.0.
Well, it's technically a sci-fi movie, and if we're going to compare that to Star Trek, that needs to be in there way above Star Trek.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They're different sci-fi.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
They're different sci-fi. Yeah, Moon, great movie.
So the greatest movie of all time, second part of that question.
Yes, greatest movie of all time.
So are we saying what we think is, like, it's obviously going to be our personal greatest movie
It's our
of all
personal
time.
favorite. Yeah.
Okay.
Personal favorite,
Personal
yeah.
favorite. Because our last one was personal, what we thought.
I know yours, but I don't know yours.
Yeah, go ahead, Austin. I'm curious. I don't know what yours is either.
And again, from like a film perspective, not the one I'd say is the best film ever made, but my favorite film,
That's what we're going with.
Yeah.
Favorite film of all time.
Fight Club.
Ooh,
Man, that's
very,
good. That's a good
very
movie.
Edward Norton, Brad Pitt,
I like
great
that
movie.
a lot.
Directed by David Fincher.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Man, mine's so close because I love American History X so much. That's one of my very, very favorite movies. But I gotta go with Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
All of them is one movie.
All of them is one
All of
movie.
them is one movie.
Man, I'll never forget when I saw those movies. That also, and this is how much of a nerd I am. That end scene after they destroy the ring in the third one, and they have the ceremony, they crown Aragorn. I teared up a little bit. Not gonna lie. Fuck you, people that think I'm weird.
There were 15 endings to that movie.
Yeah,
They were all good.
Man, it was great. But yeah, that's my favorite. Lord of the Rings by far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not by far, very close, but yeah, it's good.
So, your favorite movie of all time is ranked number 10 on IMDb.
Nice.
And if we're going off the highest rated Lord of the Rings movie, that's number 9.
They both have the same rating though.
An 8.9.
8.9, yeah.
My favorite movie of all time comes in at number 6 on IMDb's top
With a
250.
9.0.
Yep. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly came out in 1966 featuring Clint Eastwood. And for me, I saw this movie when I was a little kid, and I loved it more than any other movie I've ever seen in my life. My mom said, Andrew, come in here. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I watched it. Movie's 3 hours long almost. Loved every minute of that movie. For those of you who don't know what a movie's about, because it is a fairly old movie, there are 3 people. They all know about this chest of gold that's been hidden somewhere in a cemetery during the Civil War. And they each hate each other and they want the gold for themselves. But each of them knows how to find the gold, like a secret about the gold, like where it's at specifically. One of them knows which grave it's in. One of them knows the exact name of the cemetery, and so on. So they all want to kill each other and take the gold, but they can't because they need each other. And it was directed by one of the greatest directors of all time, Sergio Leone. And it features, like I said, Clint Eastwood in his greatest movie ever, Eli Wallach, and then Lee Van Cleef. I don't think you can get better than The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
All right.
All of these movies
Yeah,
are good.
those are all good. All top 10.
Yeah, all top 10. Hey, how'd that work?
Yeah, we're just good.
We are
We
good.
like good movies.
We have great taste.
Yeah.
So do the people on IMDb who vote.
Yes.
Okay, this next one, I was looking through all the questions, as I said, and this one was kind of interesting, and I figured we should talk about this one. Over the past few years, I have noticed a decrease in people picketing outside of movie theaters. Yet, the content of the movies that you see today are no different than that of a few years ago. Why do you think people have stopped picketing so much?
I'm trying to think, when was the last time we had a picket for
Harry
a
Potter
movie?
movies.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just, I mean, over the years, society eventually gets numb and gets over things. There's things that at the beginning, people, like, again, when Harry Potter first came out, it was like, ooh, witchcraft. And by the time the last one came out, they're like, yeah, okay, it's a teenage wizard, we get it. And
Yeah.
I think society just finally gets over things. And, I mean, 30 years ago was considered bad versus now is completely different. And even in the last couple of years, I think that's changed as well.
Well, yeah, our tastes have gotten so different. I honestly don't think the content in movies is actually that close to what it was even 10 years ago when I was growing up.
Also, like, do you think it's worse now?
I
or-
think, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I think that the violence is depicted differently. 10 years, well, okay, a good example. When I first saw Seven, okay, you don't actually see a whole lot of violence in that movie. Outside of the dude, I mean, you see the dead bodies, but you don't see the violence happen.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
But now, violence is way more visceral than it was then. A perfect example would be in the first season of Game of Thrones. Do you remember the scene where Loras was tilting against the mountain that rides, and the mountain loses? He gets up and says, "Sword!" and he chops his horse's head off.
Yeah.
Full on. I mean, that was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
That would not. I don't. No. I mean, that it seems way different now than it did then. But like you said, my dad used to tell me stories when Monty Python movies were coming out, like Life of Brian, and how they had people picketing to the point where you couldn't get in the theater.
Yeah.
Now I just don't think people care. And plus, it's different. Then you didn't have social media. You didn't have the internet like you do now.
Yeah,
So people
now-
protest is way different.
Yeah, people are on Twitter and Facebook, bashing things, but they don't get their house to do any of that. They can sit on their couch and type away and be big and bad, but they don't have to get outside and actually do anything.
Exactly.
What you said about Game of Thrones, that perfectly leads into my theory of why you don't see that many picketers. And it's because of television. Back in the day, whenever people were picketing, the stuff and content you would see on television is nowhere near as dark and sinister or even sexual as what you see on television or on what it is now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think people have become numb because with a movie, you can go out and you can picket and try to stop people. You can't go into somebody's home to try and stop them from watching a TV show.
I don't think it's people getting numb. I just think it's the way you do it is completely changed.
You think it's more
Of how
viral?
they do it. Exactly.
It's more viral picketing instead of...
Yeah, because anytime somebody gets pissed, they do a news story on it, or because somebody on the internet blew up. I mean,
Well, you'd mentioned that, even 10 years ago, you didn't think that it was as bad. I will reference Fight Club. There they don't show a whole lot, but there are those quite graphic sex scenes.
Yeah,
it's mostly just noise.
Yeah.
You do see a little bit, but it's mostly just noise. But cool bit of trivia. The original line right after Marla Singer and Brad Pitt's character have sex, and she says, "I haven't been fucked like that since grade school."
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
That wasn't the original line.
Yeah.
The original line was something about her getting an abortion.
Yeah.
And Fox was like, no, you can't say that. And then the director and the writer, so David Fincher, was like, okay, we'll take it out, but whatever I pick to replace it, we're keeping. And they're like, fine, anything's better than that abortion line. So she changed it to, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school, and they had to keep it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean...
And then the very last question that we were sent, I love this question, I really do. Do you say GIF or GIF?
That would be GIF with a G.
Yeah.
GIF. GIF is a fucking peanut butter.
Exactly. It's graphics interchange format.
Yeah.
Yeah. GIF. You don't say
GIF.
Jarella.
Unless you're making a damn peanut butter sandwich, you should never say GIF.
Yeah. Like they said, I don't give a shit what the guy who came up with it says. It's GIF.
Yeah.
He may say GIF all he wants, good for him, but he's wrong.
But he's like the only one that does.
He is the only one. So there you go, Internet. We're on your side here. Okay, do you want to do IMDb idiots?
Yeah, let's do it. Since I won last week, I will be the MC for this version.
Let me turn off my iPad real quick so I can't cheat.
So I'm going to go through and we're going to do 3, best of 3.
Best of three. And if there's a tie...
There's a tie.
There should not be a tie, because
If there's
three,
a tie,
but...
we'll add another one.
Okay.
So let me pick a movie here.
Ow, that was my shoulder. That hurt.
Here we go. This is a movie, drama. Came out in 1994. I'm going to give you... I'll give you an actor. Natalie Portman.
Leon the Professional.
Very good.
Nice.
That was probably too easy.
I love that movie. That movie's so freaking good.
Let's see. We'll go... Since there's multiple movies with this guy. I'm not going to give you the year. I'm just going to give you the actor, and then I'll give... No, I'll give you the year. 1999. We'll give you a secondary actor. David Morse.
Is there a genre?
Oh, sorry. Drama.
I don't really hope.
Drama, crime, fantasy. Okay, I'll give you another secondary actor. James Cromwell.
I feel like an idiot. I should know
Yeah.
this.
It
is IMDb idiots.
Yeah. If I give you the main actors, you guys are going to know it right away.
1994 crime.
99. Crime.
99. Crime, drama, fantasy. Has David Morse, James Cromwell, and I'll give you another secondary.
How about a director, maybe?
Frank Darabont. Actually, the guy that did The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
I did not know he did this movie.
Green Mile?
Oh, motherfucker.
Yeah, Green Mile. Yeah, David Morse. Frank Darabont was the director, and Stephen King, the writer.
Nice.
Yeah. Son of a bitch. That's a good movie, too.
All right, I'll give you
It
this.
took that long.
I'm such an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you one more. Let me find a good one. That's
I
such a
feel
good
so
movie, but you're...
fucking
No,
stupid.
that's it. We'll go with this one. Came out in 95. It's drama, action. Let's give you a secondary character. Brian Cox.
Brian Cox.
In 95?
95,
Drama.
action drama, Brian Cox.
I just can't stop thinking of X-Men. You know he was the original Hannibal Lecter?
Really?
Really?
Yeah, Brian Cox before... There was a film made before Silence of the Lambs depicting that whole series, and Brian Cox was Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, there he is. No? Okay, another actor, Brendan Gleeson. I can't give you the director because you're going to know. Or any
95.
other. And if I give you another secondary character.
Yeah.
Brendan Gleeson, Brian Cox,
90.
Tommy Flanagan.
God, why do we know this?
If I would have heard Brendan Gleeson and Tommy Flanagan, I would have.
You'd have known it?
Yeah, good for you. You had the fucking iPad.
Okay, I'll give you... Man, I don't want to give you any huge hints.
95. What
Okay.
genre is it? What genre was it?
Action, biography, drama.
Biography genre.
I'll give you another actor. I can't give you the star because you're going to know.
Well, that's the point. We need to-
Sophie Marceau.
I don't even know who
I
that
don't
is.
know who that is.
Well, I can't give you the obvious hint.
Well, yeah, give it to
You
us.
give it to us. We're
So
not
let's get
getting
to
it.
All right, Mel Gibson.
Oh, Braveheart?
Yeah. Yeah, you guys.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Brian Cox, Brendan Gleeson. Brian Cox was the Uncle Argyle who took him when he was.
He was in the movie for 3 seconds.
Hey, man,
Mel Gibson's the only one I know from that movie.
this is IMDb idiots.
Yeah.
I was
I should have known Brendan Gleeson.
yeah.
I mean, he's the main part of the story. Tommy Flanagan.
Yeah, that's true. Son of a bitch.
Well, all right. Congratulations, Andrew.
That means I'll show up next week with your IMDb idiots.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. As we always say at the end, please subscribe to the podcast. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube. But the main thing we always say, please subscribe on iTunes because that is where the numbers matter.
iTunes and Podomatic.
And Podomatic.com. They're the ones that host our podcast, and they are an incredible website. Very easy to use if you want to start your own podcast. We highly recommend that you go through them because they make it easy and free. So, guys, thank you so much. This was a very long-running podcast, but I enjoyed every second of it.
Me too.
And thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
See ya.